Hi there, welcome to Practical Piano. My name is Tia. I've been playing for about 20 years and teaching for 10, and today's video was requested by Katarina me, so thank you very much for the great question. Today we're going to go through repeat markings, especially the ones that get confusing. First I'm going to show you how only one repeat bar works. Then I'll show you how you play a song when there are two repeat bars. And then I'll give you a few examples of how to play first and second ending repeats. And then we're going to do DS al Coda. And all of these examples are from Level 2 Repertoire from RCM in the latest books, the 6th edition, and the Level 2 Piano Etudes from RCM, 6th edition. RCM is Royal Conservatory of Music. Finally, I'm going to show you DS al Coda, how to play that. And the only example I could find quickly this morning was in my old, oh no, this is a new edition. My new edition, the 6th edition Piano Repertoire, Level 6, RCM. Okay. Level 2 is right around where these symbols appear the most often, and they can be overwhelming at first. So my goal is to make them feel simple and predictable for you, so you always know where to go next. When you have one repeat bar, you play just that repeated. So you go from the beginning and you play up to the bar and then you repeat back from the beginning. If your song was only this long, you would be done. But in a song where you keep going, then after you do the repeat, you just keep going until the end. So if you're going to play this song with all of its repeats, you just go from here until measure 8. You go back to measure 1, and you play through until the end of the song. This is Allegretto in C major by Neef on page 12 of the Piano Repertoire Level 2 book. Now, if you were going to do this at an exam, you have an exception. You do not do any of these basic repeat bars at an exam. So if you're playing at an exam, you just play from the beginning of the page all the way to the end with no repeat. If you're going to play at a festival, you will want to check the festival rules for whether or not you play the repeat, or check with the coordinator if the rules are not clear. All right, here's our second example. Our second type of repeat. We only have one example for the single repeat bar. Next we have the song that has two repeat bars in it. So if you play this one in its completion with all of its repeats, you go from the beginning. This is Allegro in C major by Hassler, page 5 of the Etudes Level 2 book. You go from the beginning and you play until the first repeat bar. And just like the other song, you just go back to the beginning. But the difference is in this song, you will continue, and you'll notice that we have this open repeat bar. It's facing inside rather than facing inside to the left. This one is facing inside to the right. Treat this like brackets in math. So whatever is inside the brackets is contained. Okay? So you go from here and you play until here. When you get here, you do not go back to the beginning the way that you go back to the beginning with this one. Instead, you go back to the bracket so that you're playing only what's inside the bracket. Now I'll show you that again, but without the excess explanation. We go from the beginning and you play until measure 8 and you go back and then keep going. And when you get to this repeat, you go back to here, the tail end of measure 8, and you play until the end. If you're doing RCM exams, you do neither of these. So when you play this at the exam, you just go from the beginning and you go until the end. And if you're playing at a recital or a festival, just check the rules. If they leave it up to you, then you can repeat both parts, or you can repeat one part, or you can do no repeats, whatever you prefer. Now, the third example, I'm actually going to start you off with an easier example here. So this is when you have first and second endings, and we have 3 examples for this one because this is where people usually get confused. So first we're going to start with the repertoire book, page 8, Minuet in A minor by Purcell. When you play this one, you go from the beginning and you play until the first ending. You play until here, because this, number 1, with this bracket here, this is your first ending. Then you go back to the beginning, and this time you play until the final note before the first ending, and then you skip over and you play the second ending, and then you keep going until the end of the song. So I'll show you this again. You start here and you play until end of 1. You go back to the beginning. You play until the very last note before the first ending, and then you skip and you go to the second ending. And from there you continue to the end of the song. Now, with this kind of repeat, RCM does want you to do it in the exam because they want to make sure that you can play this ending and you can transition smoothly from here to there. And they also want to make sure that you're not just playing all the way through like this, because that's a misunderstanding of what to do. So when you play at the exam for this song, you will want to do the first ending, go back, and then skip the first ending and play the second ending. If you want to shorten your song and you're not playing for the exam, then what you do is you don't do any repeat. You just go from the beginning, you go here, and then you go to the end. You simply would not play this measure, but you must play this measure if you're going to do your examination. All right, the previous page, page 6, Minuet in G major by Bach. Here is a little more complex because we've got the first ending, the second ending, and then we've got these repeat bars. So I'll show you this one. First you go from the beginning, you go and you play through the first ending. Then you go back to the beginning, you play until the final letter before the first ending, and you go from here and you go all the way to the second ending. And here you keep going until the end. If you're doing RCM, you do not do this repeat, but you must do this repeat for the exam. But if you just want to know how to do the repeats properly in this song, you go from here and you go from here and you keep going. So first I'm going to show you how to do it for RCM, and then I'll show you how to do it with all of the repeats intact. For RCM, you begin here, you play until ending 1. You skip back, play until the final note before ending 1, skip ending 1, go to ending 2. And then for RCM, you're going to play until the end and no more repeats. If you're going to do the entire song with all of its repeats, you go from here and you play ending 1. Then you go back. Play until the final note before ending 1. You skip and you go to ending 2. And you play until the end of the song. Then you take these repeat bars and you repeat from the inside this way. And then you're done your song with all of the repeats intact. Okay, so that's it for the first and second endings for now. So here we have 2 examples side by side of the Capo al fine. And we're going to start with the simpler example, Minuet and Rondeau by Rameau, page 5 of the RCM Repertoire Level 2 book. First of all, let's look at DC al fine, and we'll figure out what this means. So, da capo is what DC is short for. And da capo means play from the beginning. And then al fine means until fine. Fine properly means the end, okay? Fine equals the end. But when we have fine in the music, it means that this end of the page is not the end of the song, okay? It means the word fine is now the end of the song. So when you have da capo al fine, you go back to the beginning of the song and you play until fine. Now let's pretend there's no repeat bar here so that you have a very simple example. If you were playing this song with only DC al fine, no repeats besides this one, then you play from the beginning and you play all the way until da capo al fine. And then you go back to the beginning of the song and you play until the word fine, and then your song is over. This is also how you will play it for RCM, because RCM does not want these repeat bars when you're in the exam. So you will play from the beginning all the way through the entire song to da capo al fine. And then you will play from the beginning, which is da capo, and you will play until the word fine. And then your song is over. So that's how you play when you don't have these bars, and it's also how you play this particular song for exam for RCM. Now, if you wanted to play this particular song with all of its repeats intact, then you play from the beginning and you repeat from the bars and you play one more time. You keep going until da capo al fine, and then you play these two lines and you're finished the song at fine. Now you might wonder, like I did, do I repeat this again? So do I play this twice, then go to the end of the song, and then with DC, do I repeat this and then the song is over? That is not the case. In standard music theory, once we hit DC, it cancels the other repeats. So this one you repeat because you haven't hit DC yet, it's not canceled. Then you keep going. Then you go back to the beginning because DC al fine tells you to, and you're going to play until the end, and it has canceled the repeat bar, so you just finish here. Okay, I hope that made sense. I wanted to cover all of the aspects of this, but I don't want to be too confusing. So I will reiterate one more time. If you play with all of the repeats intact, you play like this. You go from the beginning, and you go from the repeat bar, you go back to the beginning, and you play until the end of the song, and at DC al fine, you go back to the beginning, and you only play this once, and then you're done your song. In total, you've played this 3 times. Now, if you're going to play for the RCM exam, they don't want any of the extra repeats, they only want DC al fine respected. So for RCM exams, you will play through and you will pretend this repeat bar is not there, and you will just keep going. And then you will play this DC al fine once and you're done. Okay, now for the more complicated one. If we play this with all of its repeats intact, first we play from the beginning to the first repeat bar, and then you play this section again. And then you will play from here to here, and ignore the DC al fine for a moment. You'll go from here to here, and you repeat it. And then your DC al fine will apply, and you will only play one time, going from here until fine, and then you're done. And that's how you do it with all of the repeats intact. So one more time, all of the repeats. Go from the beginning, play up till here, and then repeat. Continue. Play your repeat bar first. So you've played this twice. Then you do DC al fine, you play this section one more time, and you're done. If you play for RCM examinations, you do not do repeat bars. They do not exist, so you do not play them. So in an exam, you will go from the beginning and you will play all the way until the Capo al fine. And then you will go back to the beginning and you will play until fine. And then you will be done. So it's very simple if you're going to do the examination with this song. Okay, I hope that one made sense. Finally, the most confusing one. So this is Sweet Mr. Jelly Roll by Valerie Capers in the RCM Level 6, 6th edition piano repertoire book. This is on page 48. DS al Coda is different from the Capo al fine. DS means the sign, or play from the sign, is how we will understand it. Dal Segno. Al Coda means to coda. And coda may be written as a word, or it may be written as this symbol, or it may be written with both. So first of all, let's do all of the repeats. Now, actually, as I'm looking at this, there's no difference between how you would play it for RCM and how you would play it normally. Because this bracket repeat applies to the first ending, and then you're going to repeat it within the bracket to go to the second ending. And in RCM, you must do first and second endings. So whether you play for the exam or whether you play for a festival or for yourself, you will still do this repeat the same way. We should have an order of operations actually for this. I have just invented this. Let me teach it to you. So first, your order of repeat operations. First, you will respect brackets. Repeat bars is what they're properly called, but I call them brackets because you also have this formation where you repeat what is inside the bars. So first you do these kinds. Second, you also do the first ending, which always ends in a repeat bar because it's telling you to repeat. And then you have the second ending, which brings you to a new section. Okay? And you can have this have the first ending, and then your second ending may take you to another repeat section. And if it does, then you repeat in here, okay? So in any case, you're always respecting these guys first. Then, after you respect those guys, you're going to do the DC or del Segno, the Capo or del Segno, or DS with codas and the signs, okay? Once you're taking these guys, you don't have any more of these. So you do these first, and then you do the DC or DS. So let me show you how that works in the advanced song. For this song, there's no repeats on the first page, only at the ending. It gets very dense here at the ending. So first you play through the beginning and you go until your first repeat. In RCM, or if you're only doing this without taking the exam, you must take this repeat, okay? And you repeat within the brackets. Let me grab my pencil so I can draw. After you do your repeat within the brackets, you skip number 1 and you go to number 2, like we did before. And the difference here is now you have del Segno. So del Segno is the sign, and the sign is over here. This is always the sign. The sign will not look like anything else. This is dal segno, or DS, okay? Then you will repeat from the sign, and you will play until coda. Treat coda, to the symbol, treat that like a portal. When you get there, you skip everything and you go until your next portal, and then you're done your song. So let me just show you how to play this through. I won't talk about it as much, and that way you can just see it all in one. You go from the beginning and everything is fine until 29. Now you're inside of your repeat. You take your ending 1 and you repeat from the bracket until the last note before ending 1. You play these guys, you skip and you go to ending 2. Ending 2 takes you to your dal segno. Dal segno is back in measure 9. There's the sign. So you play the very last note here and you skip over to the sign. And you play until your portal, until coda. Coda takes you to coda, and you finish. One last time, this one is dense. From the beginning, first repeat, second time around, skip number 1, go to number 2, go to dal segno, go to dal segno in measure 9. This is a portal from DS to this one. Play until coda, which is your portal to the next coda, and then you're done. So watch that as many times as you need to. It's quite confusing. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna invent you a dal segno, okay? Because I don't have a simpler example right now, and I want you to see a dal segno without this extra bracket nonsense, okay? So we're going to invent one. This is not how you play the song I'm about to change. From here, we will have dal segno al coda. And we will have the sign here. And you will play until coda. And coda will portal you back here. Okay? So, if we do that, first you play from the beginning. And you go up until dal segno al coda, which will usually have a double bar line like this. Okay? Both is sin. Dal segno al coda tells you dal segno, go back to the sign. Play the sign until coda. Coda takes you down here. And then you play until the end. Okay? So one more time for this one. You play from the beginning. And you go until dal segno. Then you go back to dal segno. You play until coda. You portal to coda. And you play till the end. And so you see what this allows you to do is it allows you to repeat only this small section from here to here. And then only part of this small section. And then you finish. That's the purpose of dal segno. It's very confusing, but that's how it works. So this one is the least understandable, but hopefully it does make sense. And so remember your order of operations for the repeats. You do these section repeats first. Or if you have this kind, you're going to do this one. And you do these in the order they appear. If this appears first, you do this first. If this appears first, you do this first. This is like addition and subtraction. Whatever comes first, you do that first. But this is like multiplication. Okay? And so for this one, you must do this last, actually. I know multiplication comes first, but in this case, you're going to do these last. And they cancel out all of these. All right, so those are the most common repeat markings you'll see at this level, except for del Segno. You'll see that later. These are just directions telling you where to go and where to stop. If it feels tricky still, that's completely normal. The best way to use this video is actually just go to the kind of repeat you're going to use and just learn that one, okay? Don't try and memorize them all at once, unless you have them all at once. But let's say you're going to play this Allegro in C major, then just focus on how to do these normal repeat bars, okay? And then let's say you have this Etude in D major, then just focus on how to do this normal repeat bar, and then how to do this first ending, second ending, okay? When you have the Capo, just focus on how to do that one, and so on. So you don't have to learn everything at once. It's actually better if you only learn the thing that you need for your song, because it will stick in your brain better because it has context. Our brains do not like to hold on to things that don't have purposes and context. Learn what you need in the context that you need it. Anyways, if this feels tricky, it's normal. Just slow down, go over the video a couple of times for the kind of repeat that you need, and then play a few times your song with the repeat. Now, you don't have to worry about these repeats until you know the whole song, okay? Once you know the whole song, then you can do these, and that will take some weight off of your learning process. If you try and do the repeats straight from the beginning of learning, that might be a little harder to do, okay? So learn the whole song, and then do your repeats. Okay, I'm gonna repeat this section, and then here I'm gonna repeat the first ending and go back, and then I'm gonna skip and go to the end. So that should relieve some of the pressure, because these are kind of tricky to learn. Just learn what you need. All right, thank you again to Katarina Me for the request. If you guys have found this video useful, please like it. If you know anyone else who gets stuck on repeat markings, please share it with them. If you have a question or another topic you'd like me to cover, leave a comment. And if you would like more calm, practical piano tutorials, please subscribe. Bye.